We're here at the TBN Israel studio with a live boots on the ground report of everything that's been happening in this region. It has been a mind boggling, confusing, fast paced couple days. But specifically today, there's an amazing headline. And the headline is the U.S. Government leaks to Reuters and to CNN the following statement: Israel is getting ready or gearing up to an attack independently within Iran. And we're going to break down everything that's been happening around that topic, where this is coming from, what's really happening, what is the chance that this time it is true and not just a trick, how does it tie into the negotiations that have been falling apart with the Iranians for weeks now. We've been going back and forth with them. The U.S. has been going back and forth with them. And then how does this tie to the greater picture of what's happening on the ground in Israel? And we have a very special segment to play out of
we also have a special guest today.
we have a special guest coming too.
If you can guess who's going to come up, write it in the comments.
Who's missing in this image? So anyway, if you're joining us right now, I'm Mati Shoshani, Thomas Mora, the one and only, and Sam Tates back over there working his magic on all the equipment in the back of the studio. We're here at the TBN Israel studio, coming to you live from Jerusalem. We're going to be here for the next 40 minutes or so. And what we're going to be doing is we're covering a couple of the top level events that are taking place. And we're going to take several sessions of answering any question you have that is respectable and worth other people's time. I'll put that caveat in there to go through your questions and answer them here in the studio. We're going to be joined soon by another guest. I'm sure you can guess who it is. So let's get started. Here's what's been happening in the last couple days. And I'll start from the heaviest headline and we'll move down from there. The number one thing that's been happening is this morning opens with an announcement from CNN and Reuters that says the following. It breaks down a leak that comes from the U.S. administration that says, guys, Israel is gearing up or gearing towards an independent attack on Iran. And what that actually is an attempt, we don't know what's really behind it, but we'll break that down in a second. What that's saying is that in light of the fact that the negotiations between the U.S. and Iran are delaying and ongoing at a seemingly never-ending sort of process, and because of the fact that Israel has repeatedly stated that it will not be okay with an agreement that doesn't fully dismantle every nuclear-related asset that Iran has, so centrifuges specifically, and secondly, all their enriched uranium, and thirdly, to cease being the number one exporter of terrorism and violence in the world. Let's be honest here. If that doesn't happen, then we're not going to stand by with this agreement progressing. And the U.S. this morning leaks a communication that they intercepted. This is what the report says, between Israeli officials that says we're sort of done with these negotiations. We're gearing up for an attack. Let's pause for a second.
That's after, but that's after Iran noted that they don't gonna keep doing the negotiation with the U.S. kind of.
Yeah, I think the two are intertwined.
Yeah.
So the Iranians, just to recap here on what's been happening, we're on the end of week 4 of direct negotiations between the U.S. and the Iranians as they are moderated by the Qataris. They've taken place in different places. They were supposed to be moving to a more technical nature of a conversation and negotiation. But the issue is that every weekend, the headlines that come out are very contradicting. The U.S. says, we're moving towards an agreement. We've agreed on the big pieces. They're going to give up on their enriched uranium. They're going to give up on the centrifuges. They'll do this, they'll do that. It usually doesn't take more than a couple hours for the Iranians to come out and say, actually, we didn't really mean that, and we're not planning to. I'm obviously oversimplifying. And they never really reach any substantial progress. And Israel has been standing on the sidelines for weeks now. Our Prime Minister Netanyahu, our Minister of Defense Katz, and many others in the government have said, look, guys, we're simply not willing to go back to what existed here pre-October 7th, 2023. We can't have the Iranians pushing for a bomb indefinitely. We can't have that hovering over our head without a deadline on it. And now is the time to take action. So that's the number one headline of what we're going to cover here today. I'm going to mention a couple more things in passing. And once again, if you're just joining us now, there's a comment section. And in the comment section on this video on YouTube, you can request to answer questions. And Tomel and Sam in the background are going through the questions as I talk here in the beginning of this broadcast. And we're going to be filtering through them and pulling out the best ones that are relevant for everyone who's watching this. So on whatever topic you have, be it Gaza, Iran, the peace negotiations, the new Gideon's chariot campaign in the Gaza Strip, whatever it is that you want, ask us away. I'm here, Tomel's here. We're going to be joined soon by a surprise guest in just a bit to talk about that and many more items. And if you're just joining us and this is new to you, pause the video, press like, share, and subscribe this video to make sure you don't miss the next live broadcast. We're creating news at least once a day.
It's true. At
least once a day on this channel, and we have content on Instagram, and we have content, well, in other languages too, but we'll get to that in the next broadcast. But we're here to make sure that you hear the truth of what's happening in this part of the world. So we started with headline number one, which is Iran and Israel's threat as it's leaked by the U.S. administration, stating that Israel might be attacking independently within Iran. At the same time, just yesterday, I guess, in force, the Israeli army went into an operation called Gideon's Chariots in the Gaza Strip. We were there, myself, Tomel, Yair, and several members of our team. We were there all day yesterday filming in the Gaza Strip area. I need to say this in the most, simplified way possible. There's a full-on attack on the Gaza Strip taking place.
Every 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, we were there from like 9 a.m. in the morning. And I want to say every minute from, balance on my chair, we were there from 9 a.m. Every 5 to 7 minutes, you could hear a substantial explosion taking place within the Gaza Strip. That's the Israeli Air Force preparing, blowing up the snipers' nests and the anti-tank stations that they built, and the IEDs that they've planted, and the command bunkers that they've been building in the Gaza Strip, leading up to what we have outside of the Gaza Strip, which is 5 divisions waiting to enter into the Gaza Strip.
What is the size of a division?
A division is many thousands of soldiers. Many thousands of soldiers. So we're talking about tens of thousands of soldiers in total that are preparing to go into the Gaza Strip once more. Again, the operation is called Gideon's Chariots. It's a switch in the name, but same in the type of campaign. And all of this is leading to a place where between Israel, Iran, Hamas, the U.S., the Saudis, the Qataris, the UAE, there's all of these forces pushing towards an agreement with Hamas that results in the release of hostages, and an agreement or an attack in Iran that results in the Iranians no longer having centrifuges and enriched uranium that is part of their military nuclear program. A lot to break down, a lot to go through.
By the way, about the announcement of the CNN, many said if it's the CNN, it's not true. What we can say about that sometimes those leaks in news stating a way to frighten Iran or send them a message through news and media outlets. So it's interesting that they truly announce that it's coming, but somebody have a reason to announce something like that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, Tomel. We often talk about these kind of things as a leak. When the U.S. government tells Reuters and CNN and probably several others that something is happening, that's not what you call a leak. That's called a press release. It's just done in an unofficial or unofficial fashion. And again, to reiterate, if people are just joining us now, the main headline today in this live is that the U.S. government leaks to Reuters and CNN early this morning, Israel time, the following statement: "We've intercepted communication within the Israeli government and military that says that Israel is gearing up for a possible attack in Iran." And what that is the Israeli Air Force specifically gearing up towards an attack on Iranian soil. This is something, and I need to be clear here, we were in down south in an Israeli Air Force base just a couple weeks ago. We met
beautiful episode. Everybody must watch.
Yeah,
it.
we have a full episode with some amazing 80s graphics on it, done by a talented Frank, part of our team. A bunch of like 80s references and jet fighters. Anyway, we're down there. We're filming with one of the F-16E. What was it?
It's the E.
It was one of the F-16E squadrons, one of the teams that's been running bombing missions throughout Syria, Lebanon, Iran and Yemen throughout this war. We met with some of the pilots and the ground crew. Look, I'll say this in the most simple way possible. The Israeli Air Force is ready to attack in Iran.
Yeah.
There's no need to elaborate in words. They are ready. They're fully prepared. The gear is there. The people are there. The training is there. The munitions are there. Thank you, Donald Trump. It's all there, and we're ready to go.
Best ammunition.
So yeah, so to your point, Toma, this isn't just like some random spin. Israel has the ability to attack deep in Iran, and with or without, by the way, U.S. administration aid. That ability is completely there. All of this is coming, and I need to contextualize what we're talking about here. After a week-long visit by President Trump, who did a blitz tour of the Middle East, he visited multiple countries, Israel excluded of that list. He visited Saudi, he visited Qatar, he visited the UAE, and he spent a lot of time signing deals, talking business, talking treaties, but he walked away without a deal with the Iranians and without a deal between Israel and Hamas. And I believe that the operation we're seeing now, which Gideon's Chariots in the Gaza Strip, is related to President Trump's visit. And I believe that the headline that was leaked this morning that talks about Israel possibly attacking within Iran is also linked to that visit. I have the sense that the U.S. administration is very, very, very focused on walking away with a clear agreement between the U.S., Iran, Israel, Saudi, and on another angle, an agreement that wraps in also Hamas and by extension also Hezbollah in this region. And I think a lot of the pressure that we're hearing about, seeing, is tied into this desire to reach an agreement. So let's pause for a second. If you're joining us right now, we are here at the TBN Israel studio. I'm Mati Shoshani. I'm joined by Tomer Zmora, by Sam Tates in the background, working his magic on the computer. And we're here for about 30 minutes now, 35 minutes or so, going live, talking about everything that's happening in this region, and specifically Israel possibly striking directly in Iran. Now, if you're new to this, you can go on the comment section right now and start dropping questions of what you want to discuss in the next couple minutes. We're going to be taking sessions to answer questions of what's happening right now in this part of the world. Then we're going to be joined by a surprise guest and go to another round of Q&A. So I think we've been talking for long enough. Yeah. Maybe let's take a couple of the first questions.
The first one is already there. How much does Israel spend on military at a monthly base?
Okay, so that is a great question. The question was, how much does Israel spend on a monthly basis on its military? In times of peace, the official Israeli defense budget was under 70 billion shekels. So that is, let's say, 17, 18 billion dollars annual. That budget in 2024 almost tripled during the first year of the war. Much of it was spent on munitions, on an enormous amount of manpower. Myself, Yair, Pinto included in that were paid to be in reserves for very extended periods of time. And now in this season, we're somewhere around, it's very hard to guesstimate the full cost of what we're spending, but it's about triple what we were spending previously. This is unofficial numbers. Official numbers are about double what the budget used to be. There used to be under 80 billion shekels, was around 70 billion shekels a year. And now we're talking a budget that is supposed to be in the 130 or 140 billion shekel area. So double that, let's say 30-something billion dollars. Not that much money when you consider the number of threats that Israel faces. Just to remind you, in the last 18 months, we've fought a war against Iran, Houthis in Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza Strip, and internally in Israel with a lot of internal terrorism. That's a whole lot of fronts that we've been fighting against. Anyway, that's the answer right for now. It's more than people think it is, but less than what it should be. Let's put it that way.
Malin asking if Libya going to take the Gazan people has been in news. She thinks it's a good idea because it's a Muslim country. So it was a fake news. The U.S. Stated that Libya didn't approve to take Palestinians. They said that they're too rude and they're afraid that they will throw stones. No, they didn't say that.
Libya said that, or the U.S. said that?
No, nobody said that. But Libya didn't accept to take anybody.
No, so
it wasn't the news yesterday. I saw that also, and I was like, "What?" But it was fake news.
Yeah, and there have been. Look, this is complicated. There have been many countries that have been presented as a possible option for taking Palestinian refugees from the Gaza Strip. I need to say this, officially the state of Israel is not encouraging anyone to leave the Gaza Strip. And when I say officially, it's although there are some voices that you'll hear on extreme parts of the political map in Israel, the Israeli government has not been promoting any kind of solution that removes population from the Gaza Strip. There is a different government that has been promoting that solution. That government is called the U.S. government, led by President Trump, who floated that exact idea several months ago when he entered office again, stating that a lot of the Gaza population would be removed to another country. So far, the people that have left the Gaza Strip are tiny numbers of people, thousands. I don't know, it's a couple thousand.
Yeah, they said that yesterday there was, or this week there was 120 or 140 that take out. Yeah.
So look, it's very small numbers, mostly of people that need medical care and their chaperones or family members and stuff like that. No big numbers. I will say this, and this is a much longer than we can cover in this live, that the issue of helping Palestinian refugees is something that the Arab world historically has been intentionally bad at. There are many, countless refugee cases that have taken place in my lifetime, and definitely if you go back to the establishment of the State of Israel in 48, 49, none of those people remain refugees. The people that do remain refugees today, the only ones around the world who 3 generations in are still refugees are the Palestinians. And that is because a decision made by the Palestinians and by the Arab League of Nations back in the 50s, I forget what year exactly it was, and that agreement and that statement was, we're not going to allow these people to stop being our refugees. Look who it is. Look who it is. Yeah,
we talked to you for like 10 minutes, Martin. What's up? How are you doing, Tomer? Hello. I also commented. I asked a question, but none of you responded to me.
We didn't
really sidelined by this.
Your blog on our YouTube channel.
I think it was a fake
What was your
account
question?
We have so many of them.
So we're joined by the real Yair Pinto, official.
Yair, everybody's
Yair
exciting.
Pinto.
Everybody is
Fake.
happy.
So let's do 1 or 2 more questions, and then how long have we been running, Sam?
20 minutes.
Yeah, so we can do a couple more questions. I'll repeat some sort of what we opened with, and then we have a couple like really cool surprises waiting for people.
Yeah, something really cool.
Sam, what camera is the 2-shot?
Yeah.
The 3-shot is the middle? Okay. So, one more question, Tomo?
Yeah.
My opinion, Mati, Trump does not have principles. Don't trust Trump. I disagree. Corazon, I disagree because I think the U.S. government has shown that they do have principles and they do have an agenda that they're actually trying to promote. They're just doing it in a way that is different and surprising to people in light of past diplomatic behaviors. Yair Pinto, our in-house expert, do you want to comment on that?
On that, Anwan, what country out there wants instant intifada?
Yeah.
Many countries want that, sadly. And the leading country that want an intifada, first of all, let me explain what is an intifada. Intifada is the name for a popular uprising. And in Israel, it's basically an uprising of the Palestinian people to carry out attacks against the Israeli civilians and the Israeli security forces. We had multiple intifadas throughout the years here in Israel, and Iran and Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad and all the terrorist regimes in the Middle East are trying to invoke the local Palestinians to carry out an intifada, to go to the streets, to throw rocks at us, at Israelis, at cars driving in the streets, and also against the IDF forces, security personnel, and others. So I would say Iran is the number 1 country that wants that.
Thomas having fun at your expense as you're talking.
What did you say?
Everybody writing about you.
Yair looks exhausted.
Oh, thank you. No, actually, I slept well. I've just been in the sun a little bit too much today.
We were in the sun too much yesterday, too.
Yair does not sleep enough. Yair, you need to catch some sleep.
Anyway, so let's have some questions more than...
Yeah. We have here, without America, Israel is our baby. So I think the question here is, can we deal with the threat without Iran? Or without America against Iran?
Look, so let's go back to the opening headline of what we talked about today. And the opening headline, single shot. So the opening headline today was CNN Reuters announce that the U.S. administration leaks the story that says Israel is preparing to attack independently in Iran. And I want to be clear here. in the last 10 or 11 years, the multiple Israeli governments have spent tens of billions of dollars preparing to attack Iran. And I need to say this isn't secret information, by the way. This is information that the Israeli government has talked about multiple times. We've built weapon systems. We've built intelligence networks. We've built a whole bunch of different solutions. We've trained pilots. We've purchased aircraft, all with the goal of giving the Israeli Air Force the capability of striking alone without the help of any other country in the world, and without, by the way, flying over any other country in the world, to attack in Iran independently. And since that took place...
Sam told me to get closer to you, so it's not like I'm moving closer to your frame. Oh, the other side. Sorry. My bad.
He's alive.
And
Everybody
This
wants
is
your sticker.
just to make sure that it's alive. This is what's happening in a live show, okay?
It's been a long day. Anyway, so all that to say is, yes, Israel is capable of attacking alone in Iran. We would love to have the help of the amazing U.S. Armed Forces. The U.S. Army, just to give people an idea, it has a budget that is more than 20 times bigger than the Israeli Army's budget. Much more. I think it's close to 40-something times bigger than the Israeli Army's budget. And it has the weapons and the ships and the weapon systems to show for that. But our army is no joke. We've spent a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of man hours prepping for an attack in Iran. And the Israeli Air Force is able to do that. And I'd say, and I think this also is related to what we've been seeing, is now that we have friends in Saudi to a certain degree, and the UAE, and others in the area that are more, let's call it, sympathetic of the Israeli cause and less sympathetic towards the...
well, you can say Jordan, Egypt,
so
everybody
now
we have peace
exactly.
with.
It makes it a lot easier for for Israeli airplanes to fly towards Iran. It makes it a lot easier for them.
Even over Iraq, but that's not like officially by the Iraqi government, but some major political powers there are voicing sentiments against Iranian influence in Iraq.
Yes.
So
just to summarize, yes, Israel can attack. Two shot. Yes, Israel can attack in Iran without the aid of anyone else. Yes, that has been practiced repeatedly for many, many years. We have the weapons, we have the munitions, we have the Air Force to do exactly that and to cause dramatic damage to the Iranians.
Exactly.
One more question?
Yeah, somebody, I lost that, but somebody asked about my hat. Do you want to tell them where we can get a hat like
you
that?
can get this hat on the online merchandise shop at TBN Israel YouTube. There is a shop attached to it, and you can get this kind of hat there. In a few days, we're gonna update our online
Everything
shop,
in that
and you
shop,
can
yeah.
get new clothes that are better, like the shirt that I'm wearing now with the Star of David. And it really helps us also to produce more videos. We're always trying to figure out new ways to make money that we can use it to share the truth, to do better quality videos, more ideas, more podcasts, and stuff like this one here.
Yeah, and shirts like the one Yair is wearing, and like the one we were wearing in various shoots in recent days.
Exactly.
So we have a whole lot of like really cool merch coming in the store. So a small pivot here. We're going to a different topic. We've been talking about Israel possibly attacking directly in Iran. We've talked about the Gideon's Chariots operation taking place in the Gaza Strip. We've talked about President Trump visiting this region. If you're still with us or joining us now, our favorite words on this channel are like, share, and subscribe. So make sure to do that. Sorry, I'm back to the single shot. Make sure to do that right now. And now we have something slightly different. This is something we've been asked about a lot on many, many different segments, and it often appears in the comments. People keep asking us questions about what kind of guns do we carry?
Yeah.
What do we do to maintain our level of readiness? So just to give you a bit of a background, both Yair and myself carry handguns in Israel. By the way, there's only one type of license. It's called a concealed carry license, and you need to have some kind of vocation.
Justification
Exactly.
to
Thank
carry
you.
it.
I was looking for a word. You have to have a vocation that requires it, or military training that indicates that you would be good at using it. Then you have to go through a course to get it. But we do much more than just the basic training. In fact, I've been training on a monthly basis with my handgun since.
Mati, every day he wakes up, he goes and shoots a few targets.
Not every day,
in
but
the range.
Not every day, but often.
Some days, a few times the same day.
But some days more. Yeah. In one day at a question, I went firing more than once a day, and we're in a place now where
So next time we're in Texas, if you guys have a shooting range in your backyard, leave us a comment and we'll come visit you because we love to practice pistols and guns and everything. And I know the Texans love it as well.
They do. We had a blast there. When we were there in November.
Yeah.
Well, we were there several times this year, but anyway, back in November, we went to a firing range. That was a blast.
Yeah, we fired AK-47s. We fired the John Wick gun, which is, I think, has the most amazing trigger pull ever.
The Canic, what was it called?
I don't remember the name, but it was
an amazing
nice
handgun.
stuff. Some nice
Anyway,
stuff, yeah.
so we're pivoting slightly because this is a topic that keeps coming up. How do Israelis protect themselves? How do we protect ourselves and our families? And the answer is one. Well, it's a couple things. How do you say Shomer HaChomot in English? What was that operation called?
Guardian of the Walls.
Guardian of the Walls. Thank you. What year was that? That was 21, 22. 2022, there was an operation called Guardian on the Walls in Israel, which essentially, it's a long story short, many Israelis, myself included, have a switch in their head where like, look, the threat of terrorism requires us to be able to carry a weapon and defend ourselves. I go get a handgun license then. You do it a little later, as do many Israelis. The number
I did it after the October 7th.
Oh, really?
attack.
Okay.
Yeah. My wife actually registered myself and her to get the permits after October 7 happened.
Yeah. So I do that several years. I think it's like 4 years ago now. 4 years ago. And many Israelis since then have gotten gun licenses. In Israel, I need to clarify this. In Israel, carrying a gun is not a basic right. Carrying a gun is something you do when you're in uniform and you're trained, or when you have, and historically, when you have a reason to have a gun license. And it's taken very seriously by our government. They expect you to be proficient with a weapon. The laws are honestly quite strict when it comes to having a license, carrying a gun, using a gun. I would say they're on the strict side.
Yeah, just to say, we must have a safe in the house to place the gun. You can only have one gun registered to your name. If you want to change a gun, you need to sell your gun and then get a new gun. They count the number of bullets that you have according to your license permit.
Yeah.
It's very, very strict.
It's quite strict, but in essence, and I'll just sort of jump to the end of this discussion. This isn't a political conversation. We want to share a story that sort of highlights what life in Israel looks like. In Israel, almost every terrorist attack, and there are many terrorist attacks, they're not very dangerous for the most part. And I know this sounds funny to say, but many of the terrorist attacks in Israel are by people with very poor training from our enemy side, with very little weapons training, and they're brandishing or sometimes sort of improvised weapons or knives or something. Homemade machine guns and stuff like that. And oftentimes, in almost every case, the people who stop the terrorist are citizens carrying a licensed gun. I mean, what do Americans like saying? They like saying, good guy with a gun is needed to stop a bad guy with a gun, right? That's a line they use. So that's what exists, and we're that. Yair and I both carry a handgun. I now also carry a long rifle because different reasons.
One gun is not enough for Mati.
Yeah, it simply wasn't enough.
You want to show them?
Yeah. So just to prep what we're about to see. On a regular basis, I go and train with my handgun. Alon, who's part of our team, comes often. And this time we said, let's make a day out of it. And Yair, Anna, his wife, who's quite an amazing shooter. It's very surprising.
She doesn't look the type.
Yeah, and several other members of our team, we went and trained at a firing range called Caliber 3. They have a bunch of branches in Israel. By the way, did you know this, Yair? If you're a tourist visiting Israel,
you can go and
shoot in a firing range.
Exactly.
Which is
in
super
Caliber
cool.
3, which is in Judea and Samaria, about an hour from the studio of TBN here.
No, 30 minutes.
Well, depends on traffic.
Yeah, an hour with traffic.
Exciting to see.
Mati is also riding a motorcycle, so he cuts
20 minutes
time
on a
very
motorcycle,
fast.
I'm a two-wheel time traveler.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so we went and trained in Caliber 3, and our team put together this really cute video highlighting it. And the point here isn't just the fun which camera am I looking at? That one. The point here isn't just the fun of it. The point is that we in Israeli society need to be able to protect ourselves. And if anything was learned from the events of October 7th, 2023, is that was communities that have armed individuals that are trained are the ones who didn't get hit by terrorists to the same degree. And now in almost every community in Israel, especially smaller, more secluded ones like the one I live in, the one you live in, there's a first responder team that has, many of them have handguns, but also have
Long guns.
M4 rifles with, bulletproof vests and equipment and training to go with that. And it's all orchestrated. This isn't,
They train,
improvised.
they have drills, they know what to do when the time is needed.
Exactly.
They have like alarms to set it up and everything.
And it's regulated and it's orchestrated by the police or the army, depends on where you live. I'm part of one of those units, and the way it's structured, I mean, it's very structured. You have to go through extensive written training and then practical training, and it's all regulated and well done. Anyway, we have a cool video for you.
Yeah, definitely.
was
And
very-
also the purpose of this video is to see which IDF unit is the best. So in this video, we have a contest between us, and we want to hear from you. Who do you think won this contest? So you had Mati, who's an infantry officer stationed in Judea and Samaria.
Currently infantry.
Currently, he was a tanks guy before, but then he gave it up to be an infantry dude. And you have me, a tank officer. You have
Alon, engineering corps.
engineering corps. You have my wife, Anna, which was a Hummer tank instructor. So she trained the guys. And we have a
Asaf.
not social security, National Guard,
National Guard.
guy, Asaf.
Someone out there is going to be asking a question like, why does the Social Security have an armed force in Israel?
Because people want to take their money. Okay, let's watch it and let us know what you think, and make sure to vote for Yair Pinto winning the gun contest.
No, don't listen to him. Two questions here. Who fired best and who looked most professional?
Exactly.
That's important.
And who had the most fun?
I had the most fun by far.
Good morning. 6:30 a.m. here in Jerusalem, and we are about to get ready to go to a shooting range to practice our abilities to shoot with a pistol. Today also my wife is coming with me, and Mati, and two friends. There are sirens because the Houthis just launched another missile at Israel, so we just stepped out of the car, standing here. This is my wife, Anna, right away. Yeah, left the car just on the side of the road in Judea and Samaria. And we are sitting here waiting for the interception. Whoop, boom, one explosion of interception above. We need to wait just for the debris to fall. Hopefully not here. Second interception. Houthis from Yemen stop launching missiles at us. So today we're gonna answer the question, which of the IDF units is the best with a personal firearm?
Tested by several 40-year-olds who are not actually that good with handguns.
We have my wife, Anna, here, a Hummer tank instructor, very dangerous. We have an infantry officer in Judea and Samaria. We have a border police unit, National Guard unit of Israel. We have an engineering guy that is
He's never been
to the Gaza Strip.
I never intend to go there. And me.
Okay, so Mati thinks he's gonna beat us in the shooting today.
Not alone. Yair.
Not alone.
I want to set the record straight. Last time alone was considerably better than
Please respond in the comments which one will win. And make sure you respond saying that me, the tanks guy, will win. Guys, this is my wife here. Very proud of her. So far, the instructor told my wife that she is shooting perfectly with a little bit of tweaking, and I think she's ahead of me in the game so far. What's the importance of practicing with your personal firearm?
Has to be good, really good with it and comfortable.
What's the reason you decided that we should have
Gun,
pistols?
October 7th, and that we live right on the border.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So guys, in this round of shooting, we're gonna go closer to the target. Each of us is gonna shoot 2 magazines of 10 bullets, but the goal is to shoot fast. This is an emergency in case that an enemy is attacking us and we need to respond within seconds. This is the purpose of this drill now. The engineering corps that only do defensive buildings
I don't
and
know
stuff
about you
like
guys,
that.
but I'm at the prime of my life, so I don't know about you.
Yeah, okay, guys, so now we're about to shoot some balloons. Mati is practicing how to even inflate a balloon, and we're gonna hit him for foul. In the meantime, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to TBN Israel.
This balloon I'm inflating for Yair to try to hit.
I take the challenge.
All right, guys, listen up. Next up is a contest. We get 2 shooters on the line. The mission is simple. You got 5 shots. Your mission is to pop as many balloons as you can. I call the shooter by name, give him the color of the balloon. You pop it, you got it. Quit. That's it.
Okay, great. So we're gonna start with the armored corps, the tanks, me, against the engineering unit, Alon.
Gonna knock you out, baby.
Yair, white. Ready, Alon, blue. Yair, green. Alon, red. Yair, purple.
It's blue, that was blue, Yair. קצין שריון, אני לא עובד צבאי.
Yair, purple.
Nice, Yair.
Alon, green. Blue, Yair, blue.
In this contest, we have a Hammer tank instructor versus an infantry unit guy that is serving here in Judea and Samaria, also named Mati Shoshani, and my wife.
Mati.
Mati, blue.
Where is it, dude? Ah, come on.
Anna, blue.
Mati, you suck! Stop.
נו, איך יכול להיות? זה אינה כדור. Where's the purple?
And we're back. Let's mute the live over there. We're back. I don't know if you guys could tell, but if you paid close attention, you can tell that Yair is a substantial trash talker.
But I think that I won. It was. I saw a few comments saying that I was number one.
It was sympathy votes. Yair. Fully sympathy votes. By far, the biggest surprise in that firing range was Ana Pinto. By far, she was amazing. And
Very proud of my wife,
yeah,
definitely.
she did amazingly. Anyway, so 3 shot. So let's summarize what we've been talking about here. We're live. We're here in Jerusalem. I'm Mati Shoshani, the one and only Yair Pinto, also the one and only Tomer Zmora, and Sam is over there running his magic in the background. If you're joining us live and you've missed the previous 3 times that I've said this in this broadcast, make sure to like, share, and subscribe this video.
Rebuild Israel.
Rebuild Israel is our sponsor.
Yeah.
So
We are sponsor.
today's sponsor is us. We're today's sponsor. Why are we doing this? Well, let me tell you. I'll tell you a little story. We were, what was it, last week? A couple days ago.
Yeah.
A couple work days ago. Yair, myself, our team were up north, and we got to visit our forest.
Your forest,
Yes.
definitely.
The viewers of TBN Israel forest. It was so amazing. I'm not a very emotional individual. I don't know if you've noticed, Yair.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's like a stone. It does not have a heart, Mati.
Anyway, thank you, Yair. I'll use that for my next counseling session. Which one? This one. The red light keeps blinking on the wrong camera, Sam. No, it's not you. Anyway, so we were up north, and we got to see the TBN Israel forest. I don't know if we can't run the graphics right now.
Yeah.
There was a sign. There were trees, and they were planted by TBN viewers who donated generously, time and time again, to build and plant trees in the state of Israel. All this comes at the tail end of yet another season of fires. Some of them were not started by anyone, and some of them were started by people who are not fans of the Zionist movement or the state of Israel,
Or us,
Or us.
personally.
or specifically me and Yair.
Yeah,
Anyway.
definitely. And that's why we're doing this. We are planting while everybody else around us in this region are trying to destroy this land, the
Yes.
land of Israel. All our enemies say that this is their land. But what do? They are burning this land. They're launching rockets at us. They are burning forests. And at the same time, we believe that we're going to be here for the long run. So we are planting trees that will bear fruit only in 25 years or be big and tall and have shade in many years to come. This is what we believe. We believe we're going to be here. So we invest in the land of Israel.
Yeah.
And because of your help by donating to our work here, you're not just planting a tree in Israel, you're also helping us share the truth. You're helping us create more content from Israel, from Jerusalem, so that you will know how to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. That's what you're doing. So if you want to help us, this campaign is still ongoing for a few more days, okay? Basically up until the end of May. So you can go to www.tbn.org/rebuildisrael, okay? www.tbn.org/rebuildisrael, and stand with Israel here at a time when we need you the most.
Yes, and I want to say this in not at all a dismissive way. It is one of the most substantial ways you can help rebuild this country. Our enemies have been actively trying to burn it down time and time again, from the north, from the south, from the east, from every direction. Iranians, Houthis,
Also from
Hezbollah,
the west,
even
with drones that did the
yeah,
U-turn.
I mean, they've just been coming from every possible direction, and we had the right to help you guys at home help rebuild and replant trees and forests in Israel. It was beautiful. We were there. The rain suddenly started coming down. The skies opened up. It was an amazing and emotional day. And again, I don't tend to get emotional about these kind of things. It was truly touching. So pause for a second. The link is going to be underneath the screen. Make a donation to help rebuild Israel. We've been blown away by the response so far on this campaign, and we believe that it's possible to go even farther. So let's recap. We've been going here for a while. Let me remind you why we're here. We're live in Jerusalem. Myself, Yair, Pinto, Thomas Mora, Sam back over there, talking about the biggest headline that's hit the news cycle in a while, which is CNN, Reuters, quoting the U.S. administration saying Israel is preparing to attack alone the Iranian nuclear program, or possibly even more in Iran. Big day, big headline. A lot is going on. Some people are saying that this is a bluff. Some people know that it's not a bluff at all, and Israel is actually prepared. We've been there. We've seen that. We know that it's not a bluff.
Not a bluff.
And we're here to answer your questions live from Jerusalem. We have about 10 more minutes in this broadcast. So let's run through some of the questions that people at home have for what's happening here. We can talk about Gideon's chariots in the Gaza Strip. We can talk about Lebanon. We can talk about Syria. Talk about Iran. Whatever you want to talk about, we're here to answer your questions.
About Houthis in Yemen.
What if Iran will deploy soldier into Israel?
What?
They can't.
Very hard walk for them.
Yeah, swim.
That
Very long
question,
swim.
I couldn't catch it, but
So Tomo didn't catch a question, but the question, good question, by the way. I'm happy that you asked that because earlier before the broadcast, Sam was asking, should we be able to share the screen?
We should show a map.
We should show a map. Let's do entire screen. I can't. I can do Chrome tab. Here, Google Maps. How do we do that? Google Maps. Share. Let me zoom out. We're looking at Google. Let me show you where Iran is. So the question was, can Iran invade Israel, or can they send soldiers to Israel? Well,
here's need to occupy the Jordan.
Here's Israel.
This is Israel, yeah.
And here is Iran. Very far away. Typically, you could fly from Iran to Israel, but there are no regular flights. You could take a ship through the Straits of Hormuz, around, through the Arabian Sea, come up the Straits of Bab el-Mandab, into the Red Sea, up through the Suez Canal and to Israel, or to the Gulf of Aqaba, or the Gulf of Eilat. Or you could try to fly. Here's the problem. Which camera am I looking at? Iran, the single shot. Iran,
You're one camera, Mati.
No, there's three cameras in front of me, and only one of them has a flashing light on it. Anyway, thank you, Yair.
Very supportive.
Very supportive, very helpful. Iran doesn't have much of an air force to speak of. It also doesn't have a navy in the sense that people imagine the American Marines being able to amphibiously land in another country. They also don't have a paratrooper unit that is anywhere near the ability of flying from Iran and landing in Israel. So the option of the Iranians reaching Israel on foot, it means that they're driving trucks from Iran through Iraq, through Jordan, both countries of which would not be happy with them doing that and would be actively opposed, and trying to invade into Israel. That is a route that's not going to happen. The Iranians' MO, their modus operandi, is very, very clear. They're here. They use proxies around us. So they used the Houthis in northern Yemen. They used Hezbollah in Lebanon. They used Hamas in the Gaza Strip.
Zoom in. See how small the Gaza Strip is.
They used Hamas in the Gaza Strip. They don't directly go against the state of Israel in a air force invading or tanks shooting or artillery or anything like that. That's not how they operate. And one thing that's even more important, the way they operate, the way they fund their army is as a disrupting force, not as a regular army force. Their money goes to our good friends in the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. And what they do is they're a disrupting force. They have small surface vessels that are supposed to stop, oil tankers and other vessels traveling from the UAE and Qatar and Saudi, trying to travel through the Hormuz Straits. They, and out the Gulf of Oman. They have, the Houthis that they've been funding that are supposed to disrupt naval travel in this area, but they're not in the position to send an invading force. Not at all. That's not how they operate. And honestly, they don't need to. They've been very, very effective as a disrupting force, and they plan to continue doing exactly that. Next question.
Exactly. There was a question that was just up a second ago. I'm concerned that Israel could manage active war on two fronts.
Ooh.
Well, since this war started on October 7, Israel has been managing an active war on 7 different fronts. Let me specify which fronts they are. 1 is the Gaza Strip. 2 is Hezbollah in Lebanon. 3 is Syria. 4 is Iraq. And 5 is the Houthis in Yemen. 6, Judea and Samaria, and 7, Iran. Okay, 7 fronts. Now it's reduced to, I don't know, around maybe 4, depending.
So 2 would be a walk in the park.
Yeah, so two is like, is a vacation day, basically.
Playing the game on easy mode.
Yeah, definitely. But again, thanks for the prayers, and that's the reason that we're here. It's because of your prayers. It's not because that the IDF is amazing or something like that. It's only because God is faithful to us.
Here, yes, God is faithful to Israel. Thank you, Bobak. I love that we're talking about Kurdistan. Kurdistani brother here. Do you believe Kurdistan should separate from Iran even after the Islamic regime is gone? Okay. First of all, the Kurds are fascinating people. I had the absolute privilege of traveling to Iraqi Kurdistan back in
2017, 18. I call you
19, 20.
19.
Maybe it was 19 or 20. We visited 19. 2019. We were in Iraqi Kurdistan. The Kurds are for people that don't know this, a massive minority throughout the Middle East, and they are in multiple countries, but primarily in Iraq, a little bit in Iran.
How many are they?
In Syria,
million?
they're over 20 million people. And they have multiple different organizations and paramilitary organizations that represent them. I want to say this. When I saw the Kurds in northern Iraq, I realized how blessed Israel is to have independence in this region. The Kurds are a much bigger minority in this region. They are much more combative than the Jewish people were, definitely back in the 40s and 50s. And yet, under the strongman governments of this is before Saddam Hussein, but in Iraq and in Iran to a certain degree, and in Syria, even such a powerful minority, and of course in Turkey, even such a powerful minority with such a substantial desire for statehood is still unable to gain that because of how big the powers around them are. I pray for the Kurdish people that they get independence one day. God knows they deserve it. And I think, the question for Iraq is what does it take for a ethnic minority of that size to get independence? Look, Iraq's been broken for years now, for over 10 years.
Since the Islamic State.
Yeah, since ISIS, and before that through the U.S. Invasion. Very substantial amount of damage that took place there, and still the Kurds aren't able to get a full minority and full statehood in that region. And the reason is because countries in the region are afraid of, continuously afraid of a minority of that size. The Turks are terrified of the Kurdish minority. The Iraqis, same. The Iranians, the same. It really takes intervention from external forces and probably further weakening of some of these superpowers to give the Kurds the kind of independence that they truly deserve.
What happened with the army buildup in Egypt?
Oh man, that is a great question.
We talked about it a lot.
Yeah. So.
Wait, Yair, you reported on this for a ton.
Yes, I did.
Was it a conspiracy or is it true?
Well, it's true because the Egyptians have been building their army for many years now. But the fact that it reached the headlines again was an orchestrated plan, either of the government in Israel or in the region or Qatar.
That was part of
to shift the news to a different subject in order to advance the negotiations with the Gaza Strip.
That was part of Qatar Gate.
True. Yeah, before the information about Qatar paying money to Israelis in Israel for information against the Israeli government.
So remember,
but it is true that they did build their military, but it was known, it was with Israeli approval.
It was also within a 15-year span.
Exactly.
So just to say this, because I think it's a fascinating lesson about reading the news and the headlines. I remember having multiple conversations on this topic, and we're asking ourselves, where are these headlines coming from? Like, how have we shifted suddenly from a regional war to talking about the number of tanks that Egypt has in the Sinai Peninsula? And I remember it just being this like really weird series of reports that came out. Israel is afraid of
With images also. Like
images of the tanks and stuff like that.
Rows and rows of tanks on
And
the
first of all,
border
the
with Israel.
tanks. I remember sitting on like a Shabbat meal with my father, and we're looking at these pictures in it was the weekend edition of the newspaper, and there's pictures, and my dad starts laughing. He says, "What are these tanks?" And he's like, "They're M60A1s, tanks going back 40, 45 years." They seem like they haven't been updated. Many of them they look like they've come out of storage, and we're asking ourselves, where does the story come from? And to make a really long story short, sometimes when a news item hits the headline and it doesn't make sense, it's because someone is trying to divert your attention from something else.
Yes.
And this is deep into conspiracy territory. I'll just say this in a very short sense. There was a series of investigative journalism pieces that came out, and they say the following thing. Part of the diversion attempts that happen in media in the Middle East come from Qatar. Qatar is the entity behind Al Jazeera, which is a known distributor of deceit and biased and
Fake news.
Very, very well known. They've been caught many, many, many times doing exactly that. Thank you, Sam, for keeping me on my toes and switching between cameras. Anyway, so Qatar spreads through agents that they're paying in Israel, spreads headlines that are saying the Egyptians are amassing forces in the Sinai Peninsula. And we look at that, and I remember having this conversation, Yair and myself. It's like, you don't buy tanks at the grocery store.
Takes years
It
and
takes- it
years,
takes
either
years.
to develop or to order or to
Yeah.
get them.
And-
Years, tens of years.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's decade-long programs, and they talk about the tanks in the Sinai Peninsula and the number of ships that they have. And like these stories are 10 years old at this point. You order ships years in advance, and it takes 8, 10, 12 years to deliver all the
Get
ships.
them and then to train your people
Yeah.
on how to operate them. It's a long process.
And so, to make the very long answer short, yes,
Yes, they have.
Egypt is enlarging its army. It's modernizing its army, but it didn't do it overnight. It's been working at this for a decade. And also, Israel is not the primary or only adversary of the Egyptian army. I'd actually say that aside from the fact that we share a border, we have a very stable peace agreement with the Egyptians. The Egyptians are afraid of multiple entities. They're very afraid of the Houthis and the Iranians destabilizing naval trade because it kills their economy, because ships stop coming through the Suez Canal. Egypt, again, gets a lot of its budget. We're talking over $10 billion a year. I think it was 13 or 14 billion before the war started from revenue from the Suez Canal. That's one substantial thing. Two, Egypt, remember, lives in North Africa. And North Africa has some very, very unstable regions in it.
With
that
no
are-
borders.
That border with Egypt.
With no borders.
Yeah,
actually.
with no borders, that border with Egypt, and two of its neighbors of Egypt have been at or civil war or full-on internal war for a very long time. So Egypt is also projecting power externally to Iran through its buildup of the navy, to other powers in the region, to its own neighbors to show that it's stable, to its own population that is young, poor, and radical to show that the government is stable. So again, it's just this very interesting look on what the media cycle sometimes focuses on. And I think the big takeaway here is if something seems like there's an unnecessary focus on a story that should be a side story and not the main dish on the headlines, go for a deeper dive into why people are promoting that and what story are they trying to get you not to see happening. That's really the takeaway here.
I have an annoying question, but I thought we need to show that. And we can choose how to answer.
You know, Zionists don't have to die for stolen land right.
Let's
no.
go back to the Bible.
Well, our land isn't stolen. I'll start with that. Thank you for the question. Dale, do you want to get this?
True. Yeah. Well, it's you can go
We say
multiple ways
We say
to answer this question. Yeah.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Go. Alley-oop.
Yeah, exactly. So if you go back to the biblical times, this is the land of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and we were here before Islam even existed. Okay, so that's one way to go with it. If you go to modern days, we got this land legally, according to international law, with a United Nations resolution declaring the state of Israel here in 1948. And immediately after that announcement, basically immediately after our Independence Day, we were attacked by, what was it, 6 different Arab nations around us when we barely had a state, and also by the current Arab population in this land. And we won. Since then, we are the only democratic state in this region. We give freedom of voting, freedom of religion. We have politicians that are Arabs, Arab Israelis. In the Israeli government, we have Arab judges, we have Arab doctors. If you go to the hospitals, you have Arab Israelis that are treating you. And when I take my kids, I have them treated by Israeli Arab doctors that are amazing doctors. They are part of the society. They are also Israelis. Show me a different country in this region that has this diversity and freedom to all religions and to all minorities. Okay? Of course, Israel is not perfect. And I understand that if you watch the international news, you might think that Israel is a terrible state because of whatever that they say about us. But compared to our neighbors, we are doing very, very well. And we are always trying to be better and to advance. And if the IDF is doing something that is not correct, if a soldier in the IDF is doing something that is not correct, he is trialed, he is investigated, and he might be kicked out of the army or even put in jail for stuff that he's doing not according to the laws of the IDF or not according to international law. Just an example, the IDF is conducting an operation in the Gaza Strip for almost 2 years now. Every time before the IDF is launching an offensive against a neighborhood, what do? The first thing that we do, we call the people in this neighborhood and we speak to them in Arabic. We tell them, get out of this area because Hamas terrorists are launching rockets at Israel, at our forces, and we want and take care of these terrorists to return the peace to our civilians. If you want to leave, we have prepared a safe zone for you here in that area, El Mawasi or other safe zones in the Gaza Strip. We give them a map and we tell them, use this corridor to get there. If you use this corridor, we will protect you. We will protect you from who? We will protect you from Hamas terrorists that are launching rockets at the Palestinians in order to try and prevent them from leaving these areas so that they can use them as human shields in the Israeli maneuver into that area. Okay? So I don't know if that answered your question.
It answered several questions.
I hope it did.
No, let me add to that, and I'll say this in the most simplified sense. So people look at this from many perspectives, but I'll give the layers. If you read the Bible, Israel has an irrefutable right to the land of Israel. But if you don't read the Bible, and you don't even believe the Bible should be part of the conversation, Israel, the modern state of Israel, continues to maintain full right, not just to the land of Israel pre-1967, but the full land of Israel also post-1967. And I'll explain. People love throwing around these words. Israel attacked, or you occupied territories. In international law, which is a very loaded term because there really isn't such a thing as international law in the way people imagine the criminal code to exist or something like that. In international law, there's one type of war that is fully justifiable and fully just always, and that is a war of self-defense. When you are attacked, you are allowed to protect yourself. There's another war, by the way, that is also justifiable in international law, which is a war that's fought with the approval of other nations. And in 1948, Israel fights a war when we have an agreement where the land is divided between Israel and the Arab inhabitants of the land, and the Arabs reject that law, that ruling by the League of Nations or the early UN. They reject that, and Israel accepts it. Then we fight a war of self-defense, but not one war of self-defense. A war of self-defense in 1948, a preemptive war of self-defense in 1956, another war of self-defense where we are fighting on multiple fronts in 1967, then again in 73. And every time we obtain land that it was essentially given to or evacuated by enemy states that tried to conquer and destroy our own land. And we're allowed to take that land. I'll say it gets even more complicated because much of the land of Israel, even if you ignore the just claim we have according to self-defense and international law, and biblical code, and historical evidence, and archaeological evidence that I could go on and on for hours. Even if you go ignore a lot of that, much of Israel was bought in cash by the Zionist movement before the establishment of the State of Israel. And it gets even more interesting. Here's a little known fact in international circles, is that Jewish communities bought land inside Syria. It's called the Bashan region. You know about this, Yair?
No.
We bought land inside Syria. Do you know about this, Tomo?
Yeah.
We've talked about this, I think, in one of our trips up north. And the land that we bought in cash before the establishment of the State of Israel is greater in size than the entirety of the Syrian Golan Heights that we took after the Syrians lost the war of 1973 to us. And wait, it gets better. Syria, not only did they not say we lost the war, therefore you're allowed to hold on to the land, they also illegally completely took land that was privately owned by Jewish inhabitants of the State of Israel and said, we're nationalizing this, it's now our land. So not only do we deserve the Golan Heights, we also have land that is larger in size than the entire Syrian Golan Heights within Syria that was
illegally.
Stolen by the Syrian government and never given back to the State of Israel.
We just took
By
it
the way,
back.
much of Judea and Samaria, people love throwing around these statements of illegal settlements and stuff like that. I challenge you to come to Israel and start opening maps with me. And open a map and look at land ownership pre-1948, not post-1948, and look at what happened there. And then people love making these excuses. They illegally bought it, and they did it on the back of the agricultural societies. Nonsense. They bought it at a full price plus a premium from the legal owners of the land. And oftentimes, it's not the entirety of the State of Israel, but in many cases, so just to break this down, it's a very long conversation. Biblically, we have a right, we didn't steal it. Historically, we have a right, we didn't steal it. International law, we fought wars of self-defense, and we are allowed to defend ourselves and also prevent from our enemies from attacking us again. That exists, and it gets better. We also purchased in cash much of the land of Israel, much of Judea and Samaria, very large portions of it, by the way, and even pieces of land outside of Israel. And then it gets even more complicated if you really want to mess with people's heads, is the Jews that were thrown out of Arab countries after the Arab League decision to never recognize the Shlosh Telawim, the three no's, never recognize the State of Israel, never peace agreements with the State of Israel. This is the Arab League decision of the mid-50s. Many Jews left behind their possessions in Arab countries. So if you say there's land that belongs to Palestinians in Israel, and there is land
that belongs to Jews in Arab nations.
no problem. Let's do a land swap.
Yeah, come on.
Because that land and those possessions far outweigh the land of the aggressors that don't have a claim to that land anymore. So in that sense, I don't think we have a problem. We didn't steal the land. And I'd say one more thing. We always say here, and if this is the first time people are hearing this, I want to be very, very clear about this. We believe that every person in this land and everywhere around the world deserves dignity. It deserves his right. It deserves respect. It deserves a life of comfort and a life of protection. But that doesn't negate the fact that there is a price to pay when you're an evil empire or an evil state that tries to attack your neighbors. And when you lose a war, like the people of Gaza have, like the people of Jordan before them did, and before that Syria and Lebanon and Egypt multiple times, when you lose a war or when you are taken over by a corrupt government, there's a price to pay for that decision.
Exactly.
And the price is that you lose, and oftentimes it's, thank God, we're on the victorious side, time and time again.
We don't have the option to lose even one war, because we'll be annihilated.
God's been on our side time and time again. Anyway, we've been running for a really long time. Let's wrap this up. The headline has been, we opened this morning with an amazing headline. Israel might be attacking Iran on its own.
Exactly.
And we do, I think this is, we're gonna do a podcast about this
Somebody
tomorrow?
asked
On Friday.
on Friday.
Friday.
What day is
when
today?
it's going to
Today is
happen.
Wednesday, yeah.
We're going to do a podcast about this on Friday, talking about everything that could happen in a scenario between Israel and Iran. I'll give you guys the cliff notes. Israel can't attack in Iran, and Iran can't stop Israel from attacking in Iran.
Yeah. The question is, can this attack destroy the nuclear capabilities of Iran? Mati thinks not, but wait for the podcast to see what he says then. It's in 2 days from now.
Anyway, thank you guys for being with us so far. Thank you for bearing with us. For everyone who has been watching this channel, donating to this channel, keep up the work. We deeply appreciate it. We're deeply touched by it. I'll say something else. We've been running this campaign of Rebuild Israel. It's been a absolute pleasure to see how much support and love we've received. recently, both myself and Yair almost had our communities burnt down in the fires just like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, just next to our
And
house.
we're so proud to be planting trees in the state of Israel when our enemies are trying to burn them down. Keep up the good work, guys. We deeply, deeply appreciate it. And I think that's it for today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Guys, please share, like, subscribe, and make sure to follow only official accounts of Yair Pinto and Mati Shoshani on social media networks. Sadly, there are multiple fake accounts, and if somebody comes to you with the name Yair Pinto and he speaks Italian, that's not me. If he comes to you and he speaks Spanish, that's not me. I do not know Spanish and Italian yet. But guys, thank you for all the support. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and most importantly, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Thanks, Mati, for inviting me to this Q&A.
Thank you for being with us, Yair. And thank you, Tomer and Sam and everyone else. Micah was downstairs working on this live. Thank you, guys, and we will see you all on the next live from TBN Israel.